But I'm a trainer in Kitale National Polytechnic. I'm the Deputy Principal Administration, and I'm glad for the invitation. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So straight away to our panel discussions on the sub-theme Green Energy Innovations. So I will let Anne go first, and then Claire, you will follow up.
Sure.
We have a concern, sorry. We have a concern currently that TVET institutions have been mandated to ensure that we integrate green skills and sustainable practices into the curricular development. As you are all aware, the government in this country has taken the shape of ensuring that all the national polytechnics in Kenya develop their own curriculums, which we have done and we continue to do. So in matters green innovations, we really want to understand what is the perception towards greening our skills, ensuring that the curriculums that we have developed under CBET are implemented through integration of green skills and sustainable practices that will promote climate change in the country. Anne, kindly.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that is a good introduction. And I want to thank Nyandarua National Polytechnic for seeing it fit to have a sub-theme on green innovations. This is the way to go in this era where we are facing climate change. We are also looking at a world that has been affected so much by environmental degradation, pollution. There's a lot of waste everywhere. And so that is the world we are living in. And so as TVET, we have a mandate to generate workers who have to get into this world, into this workforce that has to work in an environment of such magnitude of environmental degradation. And they have to understand and work with it and interact with this world. And therefore, at a point like this, TVET is very key to give solutions to what we are going through in terms of the degradation, environmental degradation, and also climate change that has come after what we've done for many years. As we industrialized, as we got civilized, as we developed, we were able to interfere with the ecosystem as it should be. And because of where we are today, then TVET is in a very big position, or a very important position, to be able to be a solution maker, to be an agent of change, so that they can churn out workers or skilled workers that have skills that we are calling green skills that are making them be very environmentally aware of their circumstances or their workplace. And so in greening of TVET, or in the TVET sector, it became very important, therefore, that we have a whole department that is dealing with issues of greening and climate action, because TVET realized that they cannot be left behind. The industry needs people that are adaptable today. The industry needs people that can mitigate against the effects of climate change. And therefore, if that is the case, then we have to position ourselves as TVET and provide that. So greening, in a nutshell, because people have a lot of problems of what do I define as green. The green, as we know it, is mainly people think about the tree planting. But as Pauline has just said, it is more than just the tree planting. It's about the skills. It's about our technologies. It's about solutions and innovations that can address environmental situation that we are facing. And therefore, greening in a very simple definition is when we pursue knowledge that actually gives us the skills to practice those things that do not go against the environment. We are able to restore where it's been affected. We are able to prevent any more degradation. So when we have that process, we pursue that process, practices, knowledge, skills that try to attend to that, then we normally say we are greening. You know, getting the knowledge to be able to become environmentally friendly. We make decisions that are making us responsible in terms of environment. That one can only come if you have changed your way of living, you've changed your way of working. That's what we call greening. And therefore, our students are being prepared for an economy that we call a green economy. An economy in itself that is ready to prevent any more damage, to be able to adapt to what has already happened, and to be able to be resilient, so that as we progress, if there is any more damage, we are able to stand against it. So we're saying, therefore, if we have to serve in such an economy, where we need to be resilient, where we need to be very adaptable, like, you know, we already have, we have had floods the other day. We have had heat waves in other countries, in fact, even in Africa. We have had big droughts, or large droughts that have even stayed for 40 years. And we are telling ourselves, how can we adapt to that? When we had the floods, how did we behave? The way we behaved told us whether we were ready for disasters. And for sure we weren't. And therefore we are saying as TVET, we need to position ourselves to give the solution so that when floods come like what was there the other day, we are able to have ways of adapting or mitigating so that we don't have a lot of damage to property. We had lives, people died, animals died, you know, infrastructure was destroyed. So what can we do? So TVET, we are in that position. And it was key for me to say that because at times people are asking me, Madam, what is this green? Kupanda to meeting. And so I really felt during this conference, another conference I'm going, I'm trying to give that clarity that we are very, very positioned as TVET to be change agents, to give people the skills, to give people the attitude, to change their behavior so that they can know that when I put that dirt out there, it will block a drainage. And when there will be floods or the rains will come, then the problem will be mine. So how do I deal with that waste? How do I deal with an environment where people are cutting down trees? What can I do? What can I tell them? So all that is knowledge that we need to have. So I think it was worth saying that. And now coming to our theme today about green innovations. Most of these things that we are talking about today have been there with us. We've talked about renewable energy has always been there. In Kenya, we are 90% generating renewable energy. But has it been making sense to us? Or it was just another way because that is what we had? Now we need to change our attitude and realize that that is the way to go. And when you're using biogas in your house, you are privileged than somebody who is using fossil fuel because you are contributing to a solution for the world. When you're not throwing waste anyhow, when you are not putting it in the landfill where it's producing greenhouse gas, you are doing something to the environment and to the mankind and to the generations to come. You're working towards a sustainable life, a sustainable future. So green innovations are very key, and we have to have a TVET, we have to have what we're calling green technologies, develop them, let our students have innovations that are green. And when I talk about green technology here, I'm talking about innovations that are addressing environmental challenges. Like the other day when we had those floods, and whatever happened, can we give a solution as TVET? A green technology that would have helped people not be destroyed by the floods. In another, we have just seen the weather, they're saying in another few months, we're going to have dry weather, maybe drought. Did we even save the water? Did we even harvest all the rains that were all over? We didn't. Why? We had not already given the technology that were critical. So it is important that at our training institutions, we start thinking about environmentally technology that are addressing our environment challenges that are there today. Those ones that are promoting sustainability, energy. How are we using our energy in our schools? Are we using them efficiently? Do we use solar? How many TVET institutions are using solar? How many institutions are recycling waste? So all these are some of the things that actually encompass greening or green innovation. So I think that was an introduction. I know you'll ask, I will ask more questions so that we can give a more directional conversation towards this. But I think that is good background of what is greening, what's a green economy, what is a green job, a job that contributes to preserving and restoring the environment, and what are green tech, and what is green innovation. I think I needed to give those definitions. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Anne. Claire, this morning we had a very enriching discussion from Professor Kitainge, our CEO, CDAC, and the matter of concern was industry collaboration. And therefore, in what ways can TVET institutions collaborate with the industry partners to ensure that training programs align with the latest green technologies and practices? Dr. Claire?
Right, thank you, Madam Anne. Before I answer that question, I think that I really wanted to have an input in what Anne has just talked about. There was another section that is, what are some of the successful examples of green TVET programs in other institutions? I felt like I should just point out some of what we are practically doing in some of our TVET institutions. You can look back and reflect and place yourself, what is it that you are doing particularly in this one. But institutions are now recycling waste materials. That is one area. In some of the institutions are making use of solar energy as a source of energy in their institutions. That is one. Some institutions are harvesting water and they're doing it, gradually expanding the means or the levels at which they are making use of rainwater, storing it and using it in future circumstances. So just as Anne has said, TVET institutions, it's really a good platform for us to demonstrate this greening issue. And within our context so far, those are some of the things that are taking place, and I'm sure there are many more, but just to mention a few. Now back to the question about industry collaboration. I am sure in Nyandarua you are doing dual training, in which we have 50% of our training taking place. 50% of our training.
Yes, the online viewers, we're experiencing some background noise. Kindly mute. Just mute. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, some of the programs that are being offered in TVET are really an answer to this question, in which instead of going on with the theory-based training that has previously been embraced, now we are embracing the dual training. That's one of the programs in which you find that 50% of the time of the trainee is spent within the institution, 50% is being spent in the industry. Of course, it has got its own challenges. We have come face to face with those challenges because the idea has not yet been completely embraced and conceptualized within our Kenyan communities and societies. So we are really dealing with the is it resistance to change? And this is the time when our real perspective as Africans really comes out, because you know the industry, the question they ask is, what am I going to get out of this? The industry asks, we have got targets to meet. You are a distraction. If you want to bring your students for me to train in industry, some of them, those are some of the resistance or grounds. But the exchange programs that we are having with the other countries in the West who have embraced dual training are coming out with the long-term advantages of doing dual training. Some of the long-term advantages is that the trainee who is coming out of the dual training is ready for work. This trainee does not need any more training. You know, most of earlier on, or in our traditional approaches to education, the trainees that we churn out into industry are still very far away from being ready to work. But these trainees graduating from dual programs are ready because they have spent 50% of their time in industry. They already understand the system in the industry, and they are just good to go. So yes, in the midst of all those challenges, we trust that as we go along, our Kenyan community will also stop just maybe asking for immediate gratification of maybe payment. Of course, it is true that we must compensate industry. As TVET, we must look into ways of compensating industry, not too much, but in a way just to appreciate industry as well. But as we go along, some industry, I'm glad that some of them are really embracing it and even ready, because you know, apart from the fact that dual training is going to churn out those that are ready, the trainees that are already ready, the fact remains that these trainees, when we send them into industry, are they also not contributing? Are they also not forming the workforce? Once they get to pick and know the skills in industry, are they not going to add to the labor force in your organization when you embrace them and allow them to grow? So I believe that as Kenya and as the general community, we need to move forward and be able to embrace the idea and see how it is going to impact our communities and societies in the long run, instead of the rigidity that we sometimes face. So that is that's one way that I'm just going to point out. I've not exhausted.
Thank you very much, Anne. Dr. Claire, sorry. Back to you, Anne. We're still at the preliminaries of these discussions. So the audience, kindly be attentive. The other question is, how can industries contribute to the development of green competencies among TVET students? Currently, even in this conference, we have industry engaged. We have industry already here for this conference, and even we have collaborated. But we would want you to just enlighten us more, to enlighten the industry also. How can the industry, promote greening competencies amongst TVET trainees? Anne?
Thank you so much. The industry is very, very key. I mentioned that for us to produce green skills for industry, we also need to know what the industry needs. We need to know what are the green skill sets, and therefore getting information from the industry on the standards for those occupations is very, very key. I would want to say that at this point, even at the State Department, we are engaging the industry in developing of our OSS, occupational standards, and so that in our OSS, we are able to integrate green skills and green competencies. And therefore, the industry is very, very key because they're the ones who provide us with the market intelligence for the current and future skill needs. So without them, we wouldn't know what will the industry want from us. And we might have a mismatch like what we have had before, where we are producing graduates, but they cannot fit in the green economy. So they are very, very key as industry because they are the ones who give us what are the standards. If that plumber is supposed to be greened in the way he does his work as a plumber, who will tell us the standard of such a plumber who has been greened? And so the industry is very key for that, and we are engaging them in developing our OSS so that when the curriculum is out, then it will have encompassed that. Number two, as Claire had said, we are now in CBET, competency-based education and training. And in particular, dual training. Most of our institutions are going dual, meaning most of our students will be at maybe 50% in our schools and 50% in the industry. And even going further, the desire is that 70% will be the industry. What does that mean for green skills? It means that these students are able to go to the industry and practice those green skills. So the industry will be very key for when our students go for the training in the industry, they get those things happening there. And therefore, if the industry, for example, is not separating waste, it is not environmentally friendly in its processes. What does it mean? Our students will come out of our schools, but they are not getting an environment that is already green. So the industry is very key for us. They also have to transit into green. They also have to look at how are they using their energy. Are they using their energy efficiently? Are they using renewable energies? How are they recycling their waste? How are they reducing their waste? So that when our students go there, they can practice those skills. So industry is very key as a practicing environment for our students. Then number three is that they're also helping us a lot. We can collaborate them when we are designing our curriculum. And because when we are designing that curriculum, it's important that you're able to put these skills that are, we are calling them future skills, like green skills are future skills. So they are very key to help us when we are doing our curriculum, let them be part and parcel of the designing. And also, lastly, on that collaboration, is also, there are opportunities for green skills. If we cannot produce, and they are our demand side. So if we produce and they are not giving us opportunities, then our students will not be motivated to to look for green jobs because they are not there. So the industry is very key to create those opportunities, to create those green jobs, so that even as we empower students with green skills, they get a market for that. They get a job for that. That one will motivate our students. And so the industry is very, very key. And maybe lastly also is about career progression. We need a lot of empowerment of our career officers in terms of green jobs. And where will they get this knowledge? We need empowerment from the industry. We need to have a lot of interaction with the industry, with our career officers in schools, so that they can also get that knowledge on green jobs, so that when they are talking to our students, they are counseling our students and guiding them. They have the knowledge themselves. You can't give what you don't have. So it is very key that the industry helps us empower our career guidance officers so that they can be able to guide our students accordingly. So I think that's what I could contribute to the collaborations we can have with the industries. There's so much, by the way, even research. They can be our source of, they can fund us, or they can support us. Let me not use funding. They can support us in research and development so that we are able to continually research on these green skills because they are evolving. Green skills are evolving each day. Currently, I was going through something on AI, artificial intelligence, and virtual reality and augmented reality. And I was looking at how we can use AI in our engineering courses. If, for example, a student is doing automotive, and they want to work on an engine. Using AI, he can have a twin, a twin of an engine that he can be able to operate with AI, yeah? And utilize whatever, and use maybe with chemicals, whatever he wanted to do, or to rectify the problem that was in the actual engine. He does it in a twin using AI. And then how it will react, he will know whether if he did that to the actual engine, it will actually cease, or it will cease to work. So using a twin, using AI, he's able to work on it, see the success, address any challenges. So by the time he comes to work on the actual engine, he'll do it right. It is happening in health, even in operations, where you're having a twin operation, where somebody, first of all, operates on using AI and they see the reaction. So there is so much opportunity in the greening skills in TVET, and if we embrace them, from the management to the trainers, if we change our attitude and look at them as solutions, then we'll be able to go very far. But we need the industry to collaborate with us, because they are our demand side of the green skills. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Anne. Dr. Claire, we want you to, give us some insights on how we can be able to have our trainees enabled, or, enabled to ensure that the skills they acquire here, once they get into the industries, they are able to be competent in terms of green competencies. Now the question is, how can industries contribute to the development of green competencies among the TVET trainees? In that, how prepared are our industry outside there to have our trainees? I know you've talked about the dual training, but we still need to get some feedback, some research done on how prepared, if today I go to my salonist and I want my trainee to attend for the dual training, how prepared is the industry to have our trainees acquire green competencies? Dr. Claire.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Madam. Putting into consideration that greening is about efficiency of resources, as well as sustainability of the resources that we have. And just away from what maybe you have pointed out from the aspect of the salon, if we can just go into considering the general provisions that we have all around us in terms of the sun that comes to us almost throughout the year, the water that Madam Anne has pointed out, and all these other resources that we have, and looking at how to just efficiently use them, I think the beginning point is, it has got to do with our orientation. It has got to do with our cultural practices, right into the way we have been brought up, the resources that we use on a daily basis. And I think now from the educational point of view, the psychological education point of view, from where I come, you cannot transform another person unless you have transformed yourself. And so this calls for a personalizing of greening right from the trainers. Trainees can only learn from trainers who have conceptualized, embraced, and are living the greening aspect of life. Just take, for example, in a home where there is a pressure cooker. Compare this home with a pressure cooker and this other home that has got to do all the boiling with all that, like, take for example, something that can cook for 3 hours on charcoal. That same thing can cook for just 30 minutes. How much time will you have solved? How much energy will you have saved? And so on. So anyway, once trainers also personalize these things and live, us as trainers personalize and live out these things and keep on talking about them, then they influence our trainees. Now back to industry. Change cannot be sudden. I think that change takes time. It takes time, but as we continue to have this conversation at all points, like what we are doing now, and in wider scopes, people will start embracing and accepting it as a way of life to share knowledge, to be more generous with the knowledge and to accommodate. The bottom line is to be able to accommodate the young people within our industries with that bigger picture of what the young people will be and how they will turn out to be. Yeah, I know, and I've already pointed out the fact that there's a bit of a resistance, but with time it will happen. There is also another angle that has been is being sold in, especially, this is something we have kept on discussing with our ILO officer in our institution, that maybe government needs to come up with policy that would encourage industry to collaborate. So if we can take it to that point of policy, it might become easier than what it is right now.
Thank you very much. The issue of policy is a very interesting issue. And I would request Anne, kindly, where you are seated, because you are the Deputy Director, Greening, State Department of TVET. What policies or which policies are there to ensure that greening TVET initiatives are undertaken, and are there funding mechanisms to support the integration of green skills into TVET programs? So we are seated, you should maybe be able to enlighten us whether there are some funds that we should expect, or what are the mechanisms towards the same in terms.
So much. I would say that in Kenya, we are normally not short of policies. Currently, from where I sit, as I'm looking at greening, I'm looking at about almost 7 different policies that are informing me as I give directions to institutions on what they should do on greening. As a country, we have a strategy on national climate change response, how we should respond to climate change. And one of the things that strategy says is that TVET, and it quotes TVET, and says TVET is a key enabler of all the strategies that we have. When you say, for example, we don't want, we want people to use solar, and who will be that technician that will install a solar panel? So there's a strategy of the government for people to get to renewable energy, but we need technicians to work in those sectors. And therefore, the policies have been there. We have the one I've just told you, it's of 2021. We have a policy on national energy policy. We have a green economy strategy and implementation plan. We have our Kenya National Adaptation Plan. We have our National Sustainable Waste Management Policy, the one that we just did the other day in 2021. We have one on industrialization. So we have so many policies that are informing what TVET should do. Because if we have to have those plans that are in those policies, if they have to be implemented, we need the workforce to implement the strategies. We need the workforce to implement those plans. And so I have borrowed a lot from the national strategies and plans. And currently we have just developed our greening TVET strategy and implementation plan. It's going to be launched in July. We are hoping it will be launched during the TVET at 100, where we are saying what will be our strategy of greening, both at times in policy, from policy dimension, and also at implementation in the institutions. And we have broken it down from five approaches. There are those practices we want, what we are calling a green campus. There are those, we are looking at what are those practices that if TVET institutions do, then they will be able to empower themselves into greening. There is also the issue of the curriculum I've talked about. We are integrating greening concepts and environmental concepts and climate change education into our curricula. In training, we are already getting a plan to train our trainers, to upskill them. You see, like I gave an example earlier of an automotive student. That trainer who is teaching automotive now, and he needs to green, he was never greened. So how will he teach a green skill if he doesn't have the competence himself, that trainer? So what we are doing, we have also come up with a plan of upskilling our trainers in the institutions so that they also get greened and green the students in the process. We're also looking at research and innovation, because if we don't do research, then we'll not be able to address the challenges that are coming each day. So that is the third. And then, of course, there is the fourth one on teacher training. I've talked about it. Then lastly is the one on community, workforce, and also lifelong learning. We are looking at our communities, and we are saying, how would we impact in them? How the workforce that in our schools, how do we change them? So looking at those five approaches, we've put them into a strategy. And now that strategy, when it's rolled out, one of the strategic objectives is a policy. We need to develop a policy on greening. And it has already started with the support of ILO, and very soon we are going to be rolling out before the end of the year. So that is from the policy perspective. We are working on it, but we have also been giving you a lot of guidelines. I know you have been seeing our circulars, trying to guide you what to do. One of the ones that we are giving you currently is the tree planting. Tree planting is addressing one component of a green skill, ecosystem restoration. And we are saying we have already degraded our land. So we need to give our students skills to restore. Because where will they work? Which environment will they work that is degraded? They need to be shown that planting trees is a restoration skill. It's a restoration strategy. And as they plant, they are also learning. They're also getting to have a relationship with nature. And when they'll be workers, they'll also do the same what we are training them to do. So we are not only planting trees for the sake. It's a skill that we are learning. Our students are learning on nursery establishment. They're learning on why this tree, why plant this tree and not the other. All that is also skilling. So that is what we're looking at. Then I would also want to talk about finance. We've talked about financing. It's been anything that, that is new needs management of that change. So since we have a theory of change of how do we now transit from a situation where we are having a new concept, a new paradigm in our institutions, but those things had not been budgeted. Not from the national, not even in the institutions. So one thing that we are approaching it from the ministry is that the government has given all the state departments to have a budget allocated for greening skills, for greening, whatever greening that they do, as at least we are in training. So as in a green skills, we've been given a certain direction on how much money should we budget or put in our budgets for greening. And I want to say this, we launched our strategic plan last 2 weeks ago, and in it, we have allocated a budget for greening and climate action. At the institution level, we have also given them the guidelines of what to do. In their budget, 5% to 10% should go to greening initiatives. So we'll stop at, I know I've been having a lot of problems when people tell me the principals and even the champions. They say, madam, there's no budget for what you are telling us. There's no budget for the nurseries. There's no budget for cleanups. Now we have given a guideline that in our institutions, there's a budget that is allocated to it. Apart from that, we're also having donors and partners that are partnering with us. Currently, we are having GIZ that is working with us on greening. They are training our greening champions. It is starting in August, and that is a source of technical support. We're also having other governments that are coming in, and I know it will start, the money will start rolling as they look at TVET as a solution changer. So I think it is a work in progress, that's what I would say. And TVET has been seen as an enabler, and therefore definitely funds will have to flow in that direction so that we are able to be the enablers that we should be for our plans and strategies in Kenya. So thank you.
Thank you, Anne. Dr. Claire, from where you sit, practically, how would you engage our trainees in terms of embracing green skills in TVET?
Thank you. I think one very dominant, if I can call it that way, is what the government has done in the changing of our approach in education, that is CBET. That the CBET approach to training is really taking care of greening in a very direct way, because it's about a hands-on training, and it is about evidence, the evidence that you have learned this skill, you can demonstrate it. That is quite, that really points to being efficient. It points to a demonstration that actually education is working, because the result of education should be the skills that come out. So the beauty about CBET is that it's also it's a technical approach to education, in which all these skills to do with solar installation, like in our institution, courses like solar installation are being done. We are having plumbers being trained in, plumbers are collaborating with agricultural sectors in order to come up with irrigation. So I think those kind in CBET has done it well, and it continues to do it well. That's what I can say.
Thank you. As we approach to the end of this panel discussion, I will not leave it without asking, now that we've really noted that CBET is promoting greening of TVET. To you, Anne, what are the best practices for assessing and certifying green skills within TVET programs?
Thank you again. Maybe before I look at the best practices, I would also add something on engaging trainees in terms of green skills. One of the ways that we are engaging the trainees, or they can be engaged, is through change of attitude and culture, our institutional culture. And you can only change the institutional culture if you're practicing most of these green practices. If in the institution, in the dining hall, for example, the students are seeing how we are disposing the food waste, then through that they realize what you should do with food waste. If they are seeing, like in their workshops, the way they are disposing their waste in the workshop, maybe it's oil in an automotive workshop, they have seen the waste oil, they have recycled it, or they have reused it. Then through that, we change them. So that is one of the ways we can engage trainees through cultural change, through activities that are actually instilling such skills in them, or such attitudes in them. I've just said, like when you're planting a tree, you're changing their behavior. They're trying to understand why this plant, they clean up that whole town. They will understand cleaning is good, and they'll be able to get some of those skills. So you engage the trainees, not only giving them the skills and the knowledge in the classroom, tell them so that they will know that rubbish is there. They are the ones who have identified that field. They should take care of it, and they should take care of it in a good way. So through that, then they'll change, and the trainees will start accepting or changing towards that. Then best practices of assessment, especially of green skills. One thing is that through CBET is a game changer because of its nature of training and assessment. We know that everything that we do has to have a portfolio of evidence. That means there has to be practical skills that are done. And so through CBET, we'll be able to assess most of these skills through the work that they do. If it is waste, for example, instead of asking them what are the different ways of recycling, take them to a dump site. Give them the gloves and the boots. Let them separate that waste. Through that experiential or practical work, they will be able to, and that's the best practice. we should come out of the classrooms when it comes to green skills. Let them practice the green skills. Let them learn on the job, even in the institutions. We should get out of theory, but assess them through projects. Also, projects are very good method of assessing green skills. Let them do a project, and then be able to give a solution to something in a green way. And then if it is practicals, as much as possible, let them have role play. Yeah, role play is very key also for green skills, and also experiential training and assessment. So I think that's what I would say in terms of assessment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any addition, Dr. Claire?
Yes, I think that greening is quite a very interesting approach to life. In fact, I am looking at greening as now a way of life. It is a way of life which I'm glad that especially if we can begin inculcating it into our youth right from the homes. But Anne has asked a very good question. If the parents in the home were not greened, how do we expect them to green the young ones? Okay, so it might be a complex issue, but the best place to begin is yourself. That's what I usually tell myself. Instead of looking at the bigger picture, then the very best place is you yourself. What are you doing about greening? How have you embraced it? So because you are going to influence a number of people. They say that every day you do influence a good number of people. Depending at what level you are always influencing people. So the best place will be in you yourself and how you are approaching the resources. How are you using the resources that are available to you? How efficient are you renewing that which, are you making use of renewable energy? What is it that has formed your lifestyle as far as greening is concerned? So I believe that if we do that right from our homes, it will help to enable the coming generations to be more conscious about everything that they do in life. That, of course, moves on right to our own trainers, who it becomes very necessary for them, for our trainers, to be exposed and for us to continue to have the conversation in our institutions and also to practice. I think that in management meetings, one question that we should ask ourselves is, as an institution, what are we doing in as far as greening our institution is concerned, so that we can move away from so much talk, because I think we have been accused as Kenyans maybe of having so much talk and very little in action. But so maybe we should take an audit continuously about the greening, the specific greening activities that are taking place in our institutions.
Okay, thank you very much. Our online viewers, kindly make a comment and tell us where you are. Just also share your name because we'll be able to engage you through questions. At this point, Anne, where do you see TVET in terms of greening as you make your parting shot?
Thank you, Pauline. From where I sit, I see TVET transiting in a big way and changing in a very big way. One, as a country, there is so much focus to TVET. And so we are seeing TVET. The other day, the president said, education is the key, but TVET is the master key. And therefore, most of our problems in Kenya and the world, we can unlock them using skills, using our technicians, using our technologies, using the whatever we churn out of our TVET institutions. All these workers that we are churning out, if they come out rightfully so, greened, knowing what to do, having the skills that they need to utilize in the industries, then we'll transform Kenya. So I'm seeing a very vibrant TVET in terms of greening. And from where I sit, I know how much we are putting it, including the PS. She's very keen on it. And I know in another 2-3 years, I think we'll see TVET moved to a very good position in terms of green skills and green skills development. And with the support of our partners, so many partners have come on board because they are seeing what we are doing, and I know they'll help us to transform. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Claire, your parting shot.
Yeah, okay, my mind is going on the fact that we have attracted very little in terms of global funds. And so maybe we also need to do more research and just draw attention of funders to the fact that Africa, with all the resources that we have, will do much better if only this funding can be increased towards our initiatives in greening our economy.
Thank you very much, our panelists. I would kindly welcome our audience to make any, to ask any questions. Kindly put up your hand. Someone will give you a mic. Let's start with him.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the presenters. You have actually touched the key areas, especially on renewable energy. You know where we are using the fossil fuel, which is actually the one that is making the Mother Nature to treat us harshly. Now, the only thing I'm wondering, or I'm seeing, maybe we have to be very careful as we are greening, and then come up with another one. Because we may be greening at the expense of industrialization. Now, in countries like China, what I saw is like, they are not actually bothered, because in China, you just see the sky is yellow because of their industries. And I think even when they exhaust their carbon capacity, you remember, maybe they encroach into other countries that have not exhausted because they are not industrialized. So we have also to be very careful on greening. Now, the other issue is, you see, it's good that we know where the problem is. Remember, we had floods the other day, but we are unable to store the water. Even the energy, that abundance energy from the sun, we are unable to store. So maybe we pray to God that He gives us more, I don't know, not space or knowledge on how to store the abundance energy. You see, that's where there is a problem, because we don't have the storage capacity, just as even the presenter, Dr. Amunjo, you said the storage and the floods that affected us, we are not able to store the water, and very soon we are going to have a problem of water. Although, you see, when it's like that, if we get now into the dry season, the water business also comes in. You saw one problem, and then when it comes to, I don't know, this entrepreneurship whereby there's water business, then it creates an opportunity for selling water. Now, remember, one of the problems we have is because of these gases that are puncturing the ozone layer. That's why we're having all these problems. And it's like nature is treating us harshly, because it treats us normally, and then we treat it abnormally. Then vice versa, it works on us. So we have to look for those solutions on where to touch, or maybe we have annoyed our Creator, I don't know. There is also another area of renewable energy. By the way, I'm a student of renewable energy, continuous student, because learning is continuous process. We have also this nuclear energy, which doesn't come out clear, because the other day it was being discussed in Kilifi, and it's like, because they are looking at the advantages and disadvantages, and it's like they want to go with it. So we should now be able to, of course, for recycling, there's no problem. We know the 3 R's: we reuse, reduce, or recycle. That one is going on because that is turning waste into wealth. That is not a big problem. And even in Tibet, I don't think that is a big problem. And even the tree planting was actually to raise the cover, and as you said, we have not solved the problem, of course, but we are able to deal with the cover that is reducing. But it's true, as you finished, we talk well, but to operationalize the talk is a problem. Remember, we cannot operationalize if funds are availed. Because all these things we are talking, we have been talking about them since early 80s, but to operationalize is a problem. Even attracting global funding, you must also start from home so that when you are stuck, you can be assisted. Just like even at home, if your children are not able to start, you don't have to chip in, let them struggle. But if you see they are struggling and they are somewhere, then you want to start the funding. Remember the African setup, if you start assisting your grandchildren right straight from the start, then they will not move. Thank you.
Any other question? Yes, Madam.
Thank you. Mine is not a question, but a query. That TVET is embracing greening is by planting trees, which actually we have done on several occasions. But my concern is that sensitization on the larger population needs to be upscaled, because many of the citizens feel that might be the government institutions that are carrying out other methods of which they can contribute to greening. And for example, if they are taught that even planting trees which produces fruits can be very beneficial to them, and you don't need many acreage to plant trees. Just in your 50 by 100 plot, you can be able to have several fruit trees which actually contribute, and you will be also benefiting. Because sometimes the benefits of trees are low, they take long. So that's why might be they are not embracing fully, but other practices which bring, they are short term, they can bring benefits very easily, they can be able to embrace. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's continue. We have some more hands up. Kindly pass the mic.
Thank you very much. My name is Njane from Laikipia North. I'd like to contribute about the greening aspect in this way, that in as much as we are talking about the greening of Tibet, I think we need to tie it to something bigger. Now, where I come from in the north, we are within the Asal region, and therefore what happens within that region is there is the conservation movement. And therefore we have a lot of conservancies where the greening, the planting of trees, is not just about the planting of trees, but you find that communities are encouraged to plant trees, and then together with maybe the county government or some of the conservancies, then these are turned into carbon credits. So the aspect of planting the trees directly results in a benefit to the community. So I remember, like, I think the county government of Isiolo about 2 or 3 months ago, through one of the partner NGOs, was actually paying out a dividend about 10 million to one of the conservancies. And therefore, I think even in TVET, we need to move away from just talking about greening and planting trees and tying it to how can it be converted into a livelihood transformation for the communities and even for the institutions. Because I think the TVET institutions have the capacity even to partner with some of these organizations and even on their own to be able to plant those trees, but with the end point or the end game that they are going to link up with people who are able to pay up for these carbon credits. Additionally, I think partnerships would also play a very big role. Not just, for example, within the TVET institutions, but partnerships with people within the conservation movement. And it is not just about planting of trees, but you look at a whole life cycle, that is a whole landscape transformation. For example, when you talk about conservation, you're talking about trees, but these trees grow up to be forests. Now you're talking about wildlife, because that is where I think most of our animals will live. And therefore you have to also factor in, then how does the aspect of tree planting come in with wildlife conservation? How does it also come in with environmental conservation? And then how do the institutions, the TVET institutions, then network to be part and parcel of the conservation movement and be able to draw a lot of funding? Because right now, you're talking about environmental action or the climate change action. And I can tell you for free that if you log or if you attach onto people who are onto that, I think funding will come. And I think TVET can be able to reap so big that we will probably have so much finances that we can be able to handle. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any other person? So we may have that one as the last one, so that we allow any feedback from the panelists.
Thank you. I think mine will be a bit of a comment and maybe a food for thought. One, when we talk of greening, and then we have the various ways of greening, which includes the means of energy that are non-toxic or non-hazard to the environment or the pollution caused. My concern mainly is when we start off projects that are for greening but not viable. My take is, before the government or any other institution take up a project on greening, why don't we first do research in terms of viability? When I talk of this, I look at the wastages or we call it proliferage in some of the projects that are taken. Look at some of what we have done when we want to move away from the water hydroelectric energy production to wind. But we look and see lots of wastages which could have been used more appropriate, having done better search or research, so that the greening outcome or the greening project outcome would be very economical. Similarly, as we now go to the budgeting of this 2024-2025, I wish maybe the officers present would look at how to reduce some of these costs or taxes to some of these greening projects, which can be able to assist the community and public from maybe felling down trees and other sources of energy. In this case, when we continue to increase taxes in gas, where we are telling the publicans, can we now use or move from wood or firewood sources of energy to others? When we talk of the electric trains, electric buses, electric bicycles or motorbikes, yet we increase the tax, that means soon they'll go back to other source of crude energy, which now brings about the backwardness in the aspect of greening the country, among others. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anne, any feedback?
Thank you very much. Yeah, I think most of the questions were not really questions, or more contributions towards this debate.
Yes.
Which is very, very healthy. And I would say that in greening, we are addressing two things. One, we are looking at environmental sustainability. We are looking at sustainability. That is one side of the story. We are looking at how do we live in a sustainable manner in terms of actions, in terms of our lifestyle, in terms of production, and all that. Then the other side is climate change. So climate change or climate action. That is now where we are sorting out problems that have already been brought by what we did not do. So we have to run concurrently, doing things well, and also rectifying. And so what I would say, therefore, is that this is not a Kenyan problem. It's a global thing. And so most attention is coming right externally and internally. And so as a country, there is what we are doing. And whatever we are doing is informed also by what is happening globally. And so you realize, I think most of you even follow the issue of COP28 and other. We also had African summit the other day, climate summit. And all these summits and conferences are trying to look at answers to places that we have found ourselves in. And so currently what we are doing at the ministry is also trying now to adjust to the new normal. We have not been here before. It is true, some of us when you were in school, you have learned these things before, but they were never a big issue because there was no impact that time and we had not seen it related to our lives. But now we have realized, actually, if we don't do these things, if we don't live well in the environment, it has repercussions. And so we are telling ourselves as a world to be part of the solution. And so it's not desperate. I would say that the future is very bright for us in TVET and as a country because we have started looking at ways that you start healing is when the doctor first of all tells you what the problem is. Then when he starts treating, you are halfway healed. So this issue that we already know, like all the people who have just talked, I am encouraged that everybody is talking about it. So the knowledge is there. We know what is there. So let's collaborate, let's work together now to get solutions. All we can do as a ministry is to give a guideline, to give a direction. But the actions, the research, the actions will be with you people in the institutions. You are the ones who are with our students. You are the ones who can give them the knowledge, the skills, you can change their attitudes. And number 4, which to me is very, very key, is practice. Practice, practice, practice. You cannot be telling your child cannot be taught in school how to separate waste. They come home, they see what we are doing. They can't learn. They will associate that one with schooling. They will not associate that one with changing. So what I would say is that I like what you've talked about. Now, there's somebody who talked about waste and recycling and the 3 R's. In fact, currently we are not even talking about the 3 R's. That's reduce, reuse, and recycle. We are not talking about what we are calling circularity. That at the point of view yourself, this product I'm producing, will it produce waste that is not biodegradable? Will it produce waste that will go to be a problem? So right from the design, start thinking in terms of sustainability. Then reduce any waste and go getting every value you can get into a product. Reuse, repurpose, do everything you can do before you take that product into a landfill. Because that's where the problem will be. So if you can reuse it, you can repurpose it. If it is a chair, I see chairs in institutions, after they are broken, they are put in a warehouse. We can repurpose those chairs. We can put them to be reading sheets. We can separate them and we can use the wood for something different. We can use, if it's paper, we can stop using paper and have most of our units in online, or in soft copies. Stop giving students copies and copies of notes. Let them have them in soft copy. That way you are restoring a tree that would have been cut somewhere to produce a paper. So it has to be life. It has to be a lifestyle, both in production, consumption, and lifestyle. What are you producing? Are you producing sustainably? If it is consumption, what are you eating? When you're eating a lot of meat, for example, let me tell you, you are producing a lot of greenhouse gases for us, because that meat, where was it produced? There were so many animals that were produced manure. That's ammonia that was released. That ammonia in itself is a greenhouse gas. So we have to think in totality of production, consumption, and lifestyle. That's what I group those into those three. If we do those three things, then we are able to solve it. So let's avoid waste, let's reduce where we can reduce, and let's remove it where we can remove. That carbon, when we are planting trees, we are not planting trees for the sake, we are removing carbon from the atmosphere. We are producing sinks for this carbon. And carbon, we know it's one of the worst greenhouse gas that is bringing climate change. So let's talk to our students. They are not planting because the president has said we have a target of 15 billion trees. They are planting because it's a solution to our problem. And that is why we need to build a lot of capacity to youth trainers, our managers. We have to do a lot of buying in of managers to see that this is not a waste of money, it's not a waste of time, it's not a waste of effort. It is a solution we are making. We are getting sinks for carbon. We are getting fruit trees that are food for us. When you have fruit, that we are addressing nutrition. It's not only that tree you're planting, that one is also addressing a nutritional issue. When you see somebody has mental health, I'm currently working with a group on mental health, where we are looking at trees and a forest and a tree cover as a solution to a mental problem. When you are sick and if you are having stress and you go near and walk in a forest, Karura forest, the forest near you, imagine you start feeling better. So environment is a solution to our living. And if we look at it that way, then we address it. Then there's somebody who brought in the issue of operationalizing, that these things have been there, but what we lack is operationalizing. Now, let me tell you this. As a country, or as a ministry, we are policy makers. A policy is to guide you. Now, what many things we have been doing, we have been doing them in silos. Currently, we are telling ourselves, let's do a whole institutional approach to greening. From how we live, to what we produce, to what we train, to how we do our things. Even the buses, I have given a recommendation that each institution will start using at least one fleet of vehicles to be electric. In that way you are talking, you are telling people it is okay to have an electric car. But you cannot be telling a student in the workshop that electric cars are good and you start training them, but they can see all the fleet of vehicles in the institution are using diesel. So we have to do things beyond knowledge, beyond skills. We have to go to practice. And that is when we'll have a change. Then embracing for the concept for the community. One thing that we are advocating currently, I'm also coordinating the tree planting for the ministry. And what I'm doing every time we go for an activity, maybe with the CS, we have to have the community there. We have to have primary schools there. We have to have TVET. We have to have university. And it is working so well. And so it is work in progress. And you'll see continuously the communities will be part of you. When you plant, don't just plant in schools. Go to the village near you. Go to the church near you. And this one is to the trainers and to the institutional managers. Get places to plant outside the school so that you interact with the community there and impact. One of the things that a training institution should do is to have outreach, to have a way that you are impacting the community around you. And tree planting is one of them. And to finish, I would say that I think there's somebody who said that many institutions have, they don't have, they were saying they don't have direction, they don't know. It's like the president just tells people to go and plant trees. Let me tell you this, and you know, all of you are trainers. Anything that works must start first of all with a strategy. And so what we are implementing at the government level, the policy level, is first of all to give people the strategy, the how. Then the trainers and everybody else in the country will follow the direction the president is giving. When he gave, for example, 15 billion tree strategy, what did he tell us? Take your target from the 15 and run with it. How you work with that target, now upon your innovation in Akujia, it's when as a trainer you sit down and say, who am I going to communicate with? How am I going to engage with? How am I going to use this one as a training ground for my students? How am I going to use this situation for for building attitude. So I think the strategy the government gave is good. Even these acceleration days, when we are having you people to have tree planting days, it's just an acceleration program, just to bring it into people's lifestyles. And after the acceleration program is there, we are hoping it will have instilled a culture in you of planting trees. Everywhere I go to plant trees, I tell the youth, make sure when you get married, during your wedding, have a tree so you show your children that is the tree you planted when you got married. If it's birthdays, let's tell our children, during your birthday, before you cut a cake, plant a tree. Let it become our lifestyle. But we have to start from somewhere. And let's be encouraged. We have started from somewhere. And I know it's a journey. This is not an event. And if we all get together and bring our heads together like what we have done today, definitely I am so informed with what you have talked about. And it has enhanced also what I am doing at the ministry. And I believe it will make my work better, because I have learned from you. You have also learned from us. You have also heard what we are saying, and it will also make you better. So I think this conversation is a continuous conversation. Let us keep it going in our villages, in our churches, wherever we are. Let us preach this gospel, because this is the right thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I want to return to just allow Daktari to take back the program and ensure that we appreciate our panelists.
Thank you, Coordinator Pauline. We thank our keynote address presenters, Madam Anne and thank you. I was just asked a question, and I'll ask maybe through the principal that our chair, if she has some remarks to make, and also our chief guest, if anything over the topic.
Okay, I wasn't intending to speak, but now that you've given me the mic, I'll be very brief. Thank you very much, our panelists who have discussed the greening economy. You have expounded in many ways, and one of the things that is that you've brought out, which is very good, is like you said, Dr. Claire, it starts with you. Because I think a lot of us look at greening as planting trees and maybe carbon footprint and all that above ourselves, but it should start with us. And it is a way of life. It is lifestyle. If we adopt a greening lifestyle, if each one of us did that, then things would be very different. We would not even be talking about greening economy, because we would have lived that lifestyle. So that is a good way of bringing that topic to us, so that each one of us can look at it in that way. I like even the example you gave of the pressure cooker, you know. I mean, simple things like that is all about greening. So if we can look at it that way, then we will not have issues in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, Chair. Our panelists and my colleagues who are in this hall. I just want to challenge each one of us that we take this matter seriously when it comes to issues of greening, because the globe is not just warming, it is heating up. Actually, we should stop using the word global warming. We should start talking about global heating, because as you realize, the glaciers are melting, the seas are rising, the small islands are getting enveloped underwater, and you've seen the kind of flooding we have experienced. And now we are most probably going to have a drought. We hope not. But this is a time that we must do something. And as one of the presenters said, it starts with us as individuals. So please, in that chamber of yours, plant a tree near the fence. If you don't have any space inside the chamber, plant one. But then I also want to challenge the team which is in greening. you need to also bring up that idea of planting the fruit trees. We've been planting these trees that do not bear fruits everywhere. At least now let's go to the second phase where we can say now, this season we plant fruit trees, or this season we plant medicinal trees, but let's not just have just one type of tree whereby we have the trees that do not bear fruits all over, because people should see also the direct benefit from that tree. So thank you very much for that opportunity, and thank you for the presentation.
Thank you, Director. Thank you for your comments. Mr. Principal, sir.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, panelists, Dr. and Anne. I think that was a very engaging session. It has thrown a lot of light into this topic of greening, because many times when we talk about greening, many people have a narrow view of what greening is as it is coming out. So I think that discussion has really demystified the aspect of greening. And as Anna said, I wish we continue with these conversations. We take them to different levels so that each and every person at whichever level could understand what this is all about and what role we can play to ensure that each one of us contributes to this topic. I always remember one statement which was made by the renowned environmentalist, Professor Wangari Maathai, when he was giving an example of this bird, the hermit bird, putting on fire, going to just pick kidogo, then putting out forest fire. And each one of us can contribute in a small way, and at the end of the day, we will be there, all of us. So thank you so much for that fruitful discussion.
Thank you, Chief Principal. Members and the audience, we thank God, we thank you for your patience and contribution towards this topic, the green economy, greening our country, greening our institutions, greening TVET. It has been a very engaging session. I am informed that some of our members have left for the breakout presentations. That's why some of our audience are not with us. But we thank you for your participation and your contributions. Today we have had a day that we started a bit late because of the morning preparation engagement for the starting of the conference. But we promise tomorrow we shall, and we believe we start on time. So we urge all of us to be in timely. We start our registration and recap by 8, and by 9 we start our presentations. After this, we urge members, we can go to the breakout room, and having the time gone, we also urge that them that might be leaving very fast, that we meet wherever we had our tea break and have our tea, and thereafter we leave for the day at our own pace, but tomorrow we pray that we can be here timely. I give it back to Madam Pauline. All right, I was told I forgot one thing, to appreciate the panelists for the day. Madam Gashenge, please, it is your chance to appreciate the panelists who have presented ably to this topic. Please, Madam.
Thank you, Dr. for giving me this honor to be the person to appreciate the panelists. So Dr. Claire, Madam Anne, I hope you are still with us. Together with the moderator, I want to take this opportunity to thank you most sincerely for taking us through this very, very important subject, and for telling us should be part of our lives, that we should make it a habit to plant trees. And it has also been said, we have planted trees that do not bear fruit for a long time. Let's now think about trees that bear fruit. I think I'm taking that home, that we still have something that we can do. So I want to thank you very, very sincerely, not forgetting the very attentive audience that have kept this discussion going. It wouldn't be easy for them to be discussing were it not for having an audience. I want to also thank the media and all those people who have responsibilities in this event. As a way of appreciating them, I want us to give them a clap. I want us to give them 5 factorial. And I don't know whether this will also amount to making noise. But let's give them 5 factorial now that we are appreciating them. Let's get ready. Okay, let's go. Thank you very much, and thank you very much, MC, also.
Thank you, Madam Principal. Let us recognize them that had also joined us in this occasion. We have KCB Nyahururu, who are with us, and unfortunately, we had no chance for them today. Tomorrow, we promise they'll have a chance also to make their presentation. We have a team from Nyahururu Pearl Hospital who are here with us, and we also recognize their presence. We hope tomorrow we'll also give them a chance. And I hope I've not left any other organization or a bank or team out from recognition. We pray that tomorrow yes?
There are principals who have also joined.
Thank you, thank you. Please, the principals who have joined us, may I give you the opportunity just to introduce your institution. Just a minute. Please.
Yeah, I'm Katia Simon from Laikipia East, TPC. Congratulations, Nyandarua.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Njane Maina from Laikipia North, TVC. It's been great for the time I've been here. Thank you very much.
And then we have Madam Margaret, who is from Nyandarua TVC. I think she has just gone down to take a phone call, but she is present.
Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. Thank you, our partners. We look forward that one day you'll call us and we shall revenge. We shall come in plenty just to be together with you. Thank you very much. At this point, once more, I just request some of us who wish, we break to the breakout rooms where presentations for the various papers are being done. We have one room just opposite this block. We call it ASP. And the upper room from to the end, the other breakout room is where we are going for our tea. Upper block, we have the ICT RAB 1 and ICT RAB 2, and please, we are welcome there. Or the more we say, we welcome you for the cup of tea. Each and every group, wherever they had gone for their lunch, we request you to also have a cup of tea with us in that station. And with that, I wish to have the council members give thanks for the day, so that as we request them tomorrow to be with us. We appreciate you are being with us today, and this is a gift that you are able to be with us a whole day. We appreciate you. Let's appreciate our council, please, by a clap. Yes, please. One of the council members to lead us by a word of prayer to close the day. Okay, Mr. Sander, yes, thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. We can stand up for prayer. Almighty God, we come before you to thank you for our presenters, for the institution, and for the leadership of the institution. We also pray for our country and for the leadership through the Ministry of Education that has enabled, and even tomorrow as we'll be coming, you guide us so that we can still participate in economic development. We pray all this, believing and trusting in Jesus' name.
Amen. Friends and members, the to leave, then we can fear. They'll be safe until tomorrow morning. God bless you. Thank you very much and welcome. Please, if you have your garment by the chair, you can still pick it. I think it's a shoulder clothing. You can pick it. You can place that one by the table. They may see it. Mr. Right, the other one. The other garment. You can place it on this table. The owner may be able to see it. Thank you very much. Thank you for
harusi maua, hari hari